Hello, this is Mix This is part 2 with the Age of the Primes Silverbolt, which is going to move on to Leader, the commander class figure of the sets, Silverbolt. And so, yes, in the robots mode, so it is in this off-white colour, being sort of a light grey, some orange, red, black. And yeah, it looks like a Silverbolt. Looks it. Design is the most distinct robots. Just size, and also I think so these these wings on the shore. Limbs and yeah, the head, yeah, both perched Silverbolts as well. So the pack, not the cleanest. I mean, in the aerobots are some, cleanest for Southstand. This is typical for having a folded up jet parts as the back. That comes to articulations. Heads on the ball joint, so you can rotate it 360 degrees. You can move it up and down. A little bit of a pivot going on. The arms can rotate 360 degrees. Can hinge up and down. You can rotate the biceps here. You can move up and also down, but that's also for transformation. Oh, hand rotation. The waist, which tends to be difficult to move. It can rotate. I think not all the way, but it can still rotate nearly degrees. You can make the figure take the splits. I think so, working well. You get some angle hinges of very impressive difference there. And snap into place and straighten out, especially for transformation. You can have the figure sit down with some ratchet joints for the hits, which is very cool. And there is some hip skirts which can move out the way. You can make the legs kick back like this, or like that. So there's actually two joints. The bottom one is for articulation purposes. You can rotate stuff 360 degrees. So most standard not ratchet hits. It's a limited waist rotation and hands don't move. Comes to accessories, it does get a good amount. I mean, especially as this is a commander class figure and it needs to be more so Voyager's size. And starts off with this tiny little pistol. A bit odd that just has this very small pistol. What's at the hands? You can, I think, use this tab underneath, attached to the slots and side of the wings. That's the main thing. Might be anything you shove into. Yes, there's also a peg at the back, but I'm not sure. I think we can put blast effects on this pistol if you wanted to, but this isn't the only gun that Silverbolt has. He comes with this massive rifle, which is meant to be for superior. It is, I think, in this, this of light grey coloration, painted in this glossy black, which does look pretty nice. And then I think you can have it that, let's say, but I should plug the gun to the left hand. You would have to straighten out the arm to do this. That you can plug the right up here, and this is a far cooler weapon. The Silverbolt. That's a rifle right there. And the gun fell. The gun fell off. And let's see, you can have. It's hold these two guns, but that's not all, since you come with, well, this, that, this, and that. So, this is all, you can just tell these are, these superior parts, but there is some that you can do with them for each of the modes. So for robot mode, so configuration, so we'll start off with this section. This I think this side, so you got these ports and a tab there, and there's this section, peg, and well, that's just corresponding tabs to slot connection with the additional peg connection. Peg it all in like so. Make sure this is all straightened out. Then bring in the other section right here. Get some corresponding tabs to slot connection within all this. Very difficult to do with just one hand. Actually, I just was okay. Let's see. Wrong way. Okay, I'll say it down. There we go. And then you should. It's all in place. There we go. Plug this. Plug in this other section. And then finally, you meant to put it, I think, this side up. You then have to bring in this section, which I tend to, I don't do this. I think it's your position, it's like this. So it's got these slots, which will go to these bottom tabs. Well, it's not the best secure connection, I will say. You may have to do a jump cut to probably show this off. Yeah. Okay, and that's a very fitly getting these checks connected together. So, the tower isn't really that secure, and as you can tell, there's also, I'm actually just going to leave this all to one side, especially considering that you can tell this is just a folded up torso. This actually looks better without it. Doesn't look like much, but you would have to bring in the rifle, which I forgot to mention. There's these tabs at the side, these which would allow you to store them swings for sections. I can it's really not secure. What you would have to do is fold up this peg, and I think you have to use these two. So, and that's the back. Rest it on these tabs, that this section isn't really that secure either. But this essentially, I guess, a battle stand for Silverbolts. I would say I think this is better than what the likes of Legacy, Motormaster, and Prime has. I think other than you tell these are Superior's hands. There's so these are combine a bar. That's with the guys of it convincing though. I guess you can have it that, let's say, pop off the rifle. You can say be a DJ stand. So sports as a this as it works as a DJ stand, and well, that's why. It's anyway. I think it's time to move on to transforming the figure now. When it comes to the combined modes, I just send them save them for the air. So I'm just review the combiner, but in this instance, I pretty much sort of have to but just for Silverbolts themselves, since you pretty much have to go into the torso in order to be able to get to the main ultimate. So there's a midpoint, since you're folding up the robot bar, and you all unfolding the jet parts, but with the Superior on both these modes how to be folded up. So it's a transformation to getting into torso mode, and it's actually one of the more enjoyable. Is saying that my master can be a bit fiddly, but it's that. So it starts off with tuck the hand in, bends the elbows backwards. Do the same thing with the other side with the torso. I think it's already done for me. There's two tabs at the back, which attach sides here. All the way down. You flip out. What you can very much tell is Superior's head. Lift it up, and then you tuck actually you tuck these arm sections in. So it's a snap. Since I think that which will go into these slot sections underneath there. And then you tuck the head in, and then just get it all closed up. You would to make sure that's it's in level with this tab as slots finds the torso section. And I'll close that. And here use connections back in place. Take a little bit of fiddly, but there we go. And now move on to the legs. Okay, so it's the legs, you tuck in the heels, so hinge the foot up, rotate the thigh 90 degrees inwards, and you activate this joint, so the top orange joint, move it up like so. You then make sure that this gap, that's the back of the shoe, goes into the folded out folder. And then you have this thing, it's in front of this upgrade section, which go to this to the tab at side of the backs, moves, I suppose. It take a little bit of fiddling, but it's especially more difficult to do it with. Actually, I don't think I've got it all. There we go. There we go. Actually, I don't think I had this up. There we go. And let's make sure it's inside some place. And do the same thing with the other side. Okay. I think I got it all the way in. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. And that pretty much is the torso mode right here. So there we go, the Superion's head. So not good at the moment, but yeah, this is the configuration that you need Silverbolt to be when you get attached into all combined up. So anyway, want to carry on transferring the jets mode, so make sure that's see the back of the heads, Superion's heads. Now, so unfold all this. Now I think you do have these panels of the wings that do flip up. There is actually a combined alt mode, which I'll get into later. But I'm not sure if you're having to do this with the individual alt modes. I feel like just to complete the look of them, just to have these folders, and then what will happen is that use this store, which will go onto the tab at the inner side of the shins. Just so to place. Do the same thing with the other side. Then what you have to do is you detach this front section within all this, and so it's sort of go into place for when you're folding up the fuselage, and the scout will just tuck into the tail fin. So that's what you get it. So which can be also. It's alright, so to try and get this folded all the way back up. Oh, and this actually wrote. Make sure that this part is down. Move this. Oh, what has got these tabs as the back of the. Go to these. The top of the back, and also meant to have some of these sleeves which should go into slots at Superion's antenna. Yeah, but I think before I do that, I just want to deal with the cockpit section. So you open it up, and this can be a bit fiddly, but you would have to flip out the nose cone and don't have much clearance, and sure how get this on the bottle. There we go. And then what's all happen is that underneath, which is going to all these slots, and it'll just snap into place. Anyway, yeah. To get this all tied in place, maybe I have to ignore the antennas since they are a bit delicate. Unfortunately, tend to be just focus on try and get this head set up there, and then deal with telephone section, which is on 2 hinges. Sure that both of them are moving back. And then I think it's meant to be that type of place, or maybe that's might actually just okay. I think it's use these slots to the thumb pretty much. Well, you can also rest in place. And then finally comes the underside. You flip out this front landing gear as the back of Superion's head. You lift this hip skirts up, which serve as the rear landing gear. And there we go, got some Silverbolt in his individual jet. There's a Concorde jet mode, which does look pretty cool, but we'll say that, size to have a long fuselage is. You have the addition of these hints of gold, which I think serve as windows. It's there, multiple on wings. Also the undersides, I mean, yeah, this is just the full, that's the door for the superior torso pretty much. But, wood as the cable, but, it's a platform which feels good to see the most. With me jets mode, the cable isn't too distracting, and I think it's sort of like the act as sort of a pair of cannons for the Concorde jet mode. Unfortunately, the landing gear doesn't roll. It's got sort of rails instead. I think as the weapons, fortunately isn't. I don't think there's actually you can do with them. With the gun, you can plug it. The pistol, you can plug it underneath the fuselage, and doing. I'm not a fan of just plugging the guns underneath. I just don't like, but I just don't like it. I think you might to have it on. So in the front landing gear will get in the way, so I don't think you can do anything with the rifle in the individual jet modes. I should also mention that you can actually still bend the nose cone down a bit further. And this is actually it's that Concorde jets actually do when they're landing down. The nose cone bend and downwards. So that's pretty cool. I'm probably gonna have it try how it's odd up with a few such, but still a pretty cool gimmick. But I think that's pretty much all that's to say about the individual jet mode. So I'm going to move on to something that you can do with the superior parts, but you would have to do a bit of prep work, which would have to lift the wings back up. And this mode, you have to make sure that these tips are unfolded. And come over to here. Not that much you do with this section, just have to flip out these wing tips And then here you got these bright red sections that you have to flip out. And then we'll bring over the folded out torso. You might have to do having to do some lift up what is called the chest piece. You have to flip out this section, hinge this back down, and then you rotate what is called the thighs. Oops, I'll try not to move the hips at the same time. You rotate the thigh 180 degrees. And it might be very difficult to do. Hands, this is a bit fiddly, but you do get the various corresponding tabs of sort sections. That's what is Superior's bum, tabs into here. Got these extra the thighs. So we got this section that tabs in here. Just I guess, these tabs right here, the thighs, so they into the slots that's Superior's hands. I guess try to focus on doing those. Then plug in the bum, and then this just down tabs in here. There we go. Also, I should have mentioned these earlier, but these you can tell that these two these slots right here. Get these in place. Well, I think this might have already been tabbed in place. Anyway, now we have to bring in the rifle. So you have to fold up the barrel. Like so. And have it pretty much like this. What's going to happen is that you got the supports underneath here, which will go into this peg place, and this will fill in this gap, which you can see here. Although unfortunately, it's not the most secure connection. That's something that can be said. I think that's the best that I can do here. Then what's going to happen is that the thighs. Just notice that this isn't actually fully straightened out, which could be an issue with the. Okay, I'm going to do a jump connection. Okay, forget about that actually. So what you do is that you attach the thigh to these red sections. Going to be a bit difficult to do it with one hand. So I will say that connecting the beam more cooperative than it usually is. There we go. Just got that. Here, just slide it in, and then you do have these slots underneath. So go into this tab right here. Tab of sort connection. So these wings in place. And we're pretty much done. And this is what is referred to as a super jet. This mode is also actually okay. I've just realized I forgot to do one thing. So this extra prep work is that you attach the tail fin sections, which have these tabs of slot connections. You have to move all these down. There we go. And so then doesn't hold. For some reason, this is interesting enough. It looks a bit like, or I guess what's the Aerobots faction symbol would be like. And this is a. Since this is I think a very clever way of dealing with the superior parts, having this combined jet mode. That actually looks very cohesive. It doesn't look like these are two separate components. Now the underside, we'll say you do get these. I think there's some look a bit like landing gear, but unfortunately because on the underside you get all this, kibble underneath, the landing gear. It's hard to show it off here, but the landing gear doesn't actually touch the ground, which is a bit of a shame, and it would be a bit distracting in size, but in this plan view it isn't really noticeable. What is noticeable is the fact that this is still, at the back, there's no actual thrusters, and I just realised that, I don't think, Silverbolt's jet not had any thrusters to it, but yeah, this is, a silver folded up torso, but you do get this vent detailing at the top of the chest plate, which, okay, that looks fine here, and it's a nice detail to it. And I think another thing that's since unlike with most combined alt modes, you could say, the connection is actually solid. It actually feels very nice in hand, and yeah, it's a very solid connection. Isn't detaching from all this this combined parts. I think what is also clever is that having the rifle form not only form this gap but also have part of it form the tail fin. That's that's very cool. Ooh. And I think that's all that I have to. Well, okay. I mean, should mention that you do get these ports in here. You can still plug it onto the fuselage, but I think what I'll do is just plug it in here. Yeah, it's somewhere to put the pistol. That doesn't to a big degree. It's overall, I will say, out of all the aerobots, Silverbolt is my favourite one, since not only is he the only one to have his own mold, but they do a lot of interaction to what he has of arts. He looks great, so arts, as long as you ignore the kibble, the transformation is actually very enjoyable. I think he's one more enjoyable Commander Class figures to transform. I love the Super Jets, man. It's pretty cool. I think the issue. So that's it. The landing gear doesn't roll. I think the success can be a bit fiddly. I think the battle stand mode is okay. Could do with a more and I think would better if there's better way to deal with the followed up torso. Try and add some extra steps to help it blend in with the other modes. But I think that's all that I had to say about it. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So we'll have next.